Chapter 23. The Silence of Victory. The world outside continued its frantic spin, but for the old man, time had slowed. The roar of the gambling underworld, once his lifeblood, was now a distant hum. Victor Kroll's downfall had been spectacular, a public humiliation that resonated through financial and political circles. The bookmakers, though resilient, were wounded, forced to restructure and face unprecedented scrutiny. His revenge was complete, undeniable. Yet, the silence that followed was not the triumphant roar he might have once imagined. It was a profound, almost deafening quiet. The adrenaline that had fueled him for decades, the constant mental chess game, had vanished, leaving an unexpected void. He had won, but the victory felt strangely empty. He spent his days in the small village, observing the rhythms of simple life. The farmers tending their fields, the children playing in the dusty streets, the old men sipping tea in the local kavahain. There were no algorithms here, no hidden backdoors, no shifting odds. Only the predictable cycles of nature and human connection. He found himself drawn to the local library, a small, dusty room filled with forgotten books. He no longer sought out texts on game theory or probability. Instead, he read poetry, history, philosophy. He discovered new worlds within the pages, worlds where conflict was resolved not through cunning and manipulation, but through understanding and empathy. His hands, once so quick and precise on a keyboard, now found a different purpose. He began to carve small wooden figures, simple animals, intricate patterns. It was a meditative process, each cut a release, each finished piece a small act of creation. He sold them for a pittance in the village market, finding a quiet satisfaction in the tangible result of his labor, something that couldn't be erased or traced. The money from his final gambit, the vast sums he had amassed, continued to flow anonymously to charities. He felt a quiet sense of purpose in this, a way to balance the scales, to mitigate the harm he had caused, directly or indirectly, throughout his life. He wasn't seeking forgiveness, but a form of internal peace. He often thought of Elena. The memory of her touch, her understanding, lingered like a soft melody. He had cut ties, believing it was for her protection, but the loneliness of his victory was a heavy burden. He wondered if she still danced, if she still saw the world with that quiet, knowing gaze. He yearned for her presence, for the simple act of sharing silence with someone who truly saw him. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, he sat on his small porch, a cup of unsweetened tea in his hand. He looked at the vast, open sky, and for the first time in a very long time he felt a sense of lightness. The weight of revenge, the burden of the past, had begun to lift. He understood now that the greatest risk he had ever taken was not in the high-stakes world of betting, but in allowing himself to be vulnerable, to connect, to love. He had run from it for so long, believing it to be a weakness, but perhaps, he mused, it was the ultimate strength. The silence of victory was not empty. It was filled with the quiet hum of a life unburdened, mind at peace, and a heart, slowly, tentatively, beginning to heal. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time he wasn't planning, wasn't calculating, wasn't anticipating the next move. He was simply existing, breathing, and allowing the quiet hum of the world to fill the spaces that revenge had left empty. The game was truly over, and the real prize, he realized, was not in winning, but in finally finding himself.